Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Barely Bookish podcast. Today, we're going to continue talking about Frankenstein, and I am once again joined by Allison and Becca.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm excited.
Always.
I'm ready to have a good time.
Yeah. I feel like we're at like such a precipice in the book too that like things are about to get crazy. This is where it's getting good.
We're getting a POV change soon.
Love it.
Little teaser.
Little teaser.
And also, we finally found out what year Becca's book is. So
yes, this is the 1831, the third edition, which contains all of Mary's revisions to her story. That's what we're working with here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, she went through and just beefed it up even more. That's why it's so good.
I tried to do your digging on mine, and it's Amazon's version is like of its own. There are
Amazon.
Well, because
Jeff Bezos read it.
I kept trying to look at all these different sites. I was on a Reddit thread at one point trying to figure it out.
That's when you know you're really looking.
Yeah, and a lot of them are like it's pretty close to 1818, but there are a few revisions, and I'm like, okay, that's the consensus I'm gathering from as far depths of the internet as Reddit.
Right. And Rachel, you have like the actual 1818 version, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Coined by Penguin Classics themselves.
Nice.
Frankenstein, the 1818 text. It makes me feel very official. I'm not going to lie to you. So.
Do you think we could have accessed the 1818 text on something for free? Like, could you
sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Online versions?
But it's free on Libby. The audiobook is free on Libby.
1818 version?
Yep, and everything's free on Libby, but you don't have to wait. They just have unlimited copies of it. That could be dependent on your library, but my library has it just whenever you want it. Anyone can have it.
I think mine's like that, but I don't know if I've checked out a classic since switching libraries, so.
Well, it's out of copyright, so it should be.
Mm.
Right, that's what I thought, so that's why I'm asking, because I got thinking about it today, and I'm like, oh, I guess I could have just compared it to the 1818 text on some, free online source.
Mm-hmm.
I just wasn't thinking about that. But this is the one I read it originally on, so that's kind of why I'm using it. But
nice. I like that we have the first, second, and third editions. I think that worked out really well.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if mine's fully the second edition. It's like of its own class, I guess.
1.5.
Yeah, pretty much.
Lion King 1.5. I was going to say the same thing.
It's the best one.
The amount of times growing up I said, dream home, steam home.
I just like the idea that you have the director's cut version.
Yeah.
Yep. I like it.
Mm.
So we are on chapter 7. So the trial starts at 11, very prompt. However, I did see this, someone did a study. So I don't know if you ever saw this, but like there was a study done on court cases and when you want to get your court case, and they found out that judges naturally deal out harder punishments before lunch and lighter sentences right after lunch.
Wow. So they got Justine 11 o'clock right before lunch. They're brutal.
Brutal.
I love bringing that research into this.
That's fantastic to know. That's fantastic to know because poor Justine. Justice for Justine.
Her first name is Poor.
Her first name is Poor. Oh,
that kind of makes sense, though. I feel like I would give less attention, maybe not less attention. I guess it's your job to pay attention as your judge. But I feel like you would just get more exhausted as the day goes on, and you're just like, okay, well.
Yeah, get him out of here. I don't want a lot of argument.
Yeah.
Just, I'll be nicer just so you don't complain.
Right. Like, wrap it up.
You're so irritable, like, right before you eat that you're like, what time, you know?
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah, I gotta eat, man.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Justine.
Poor Justine.
Viktor does call it a mockery of justice, though. So at least we're all on the same page that they're really setting Justine up for failure.
Yeah, they have, like, literally no evidence. They're going off vibes and vibes alone.
And I definitely trust Viktor's moral compass, so.
Oh yeah, no, of course. I mean, he's just so
I'm
moral.
This is
For a
what
split second, I did not think you were joking. And I was like, I literally have a line underlined right now where I'm like, that is such a bad person thing to say. And you're like, he's trusting. He's trustworthy. Go for him.
I'm cracking up because I wish that just for a second this was also a visual medium. Because Becca's face was like, are we reading the same book?
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what? Where did that even come from?
Rachel
She's like,
says
what happens
my-
to the 1818?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's the
what's going
sarcasm
on?
immediately, and you were like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, because as you were saying it, I was reading a line that I underlined where he said 1,000 times rather I would have confessed myself guilty of the crime ascribed to Justine. And just next to it, I wrote, do it then. Like, just do
Bitch.
it. If you feel this guilty, if you know she's innocent, just confess and see what happens. You're a privileged white man. Like, you may get off better than poor Justine will.
From a rich, prominent family, too,
Yes,
on top of it.
yes, yeah. Yeah, college educated. Like, he would be unscathed, I truly think. If you just told them, hey, there's a monster out there, grab your pitchforks, grab your torches, I think they would follow him instead of, like, punishing him.
Yeah. Like, think of every famous person that gets, like, a DUI and then gets forgiven, like, 5 minutes later. That's
Or
basically...
kills people. Like, how many
Literally.
famous people have killed people, and it's just, like, no big deal.
Yeah, they're like, whatever.
Crazy. Untouchable. So I'm like, why doesn't he just swap places? He's too good. He'll let poor Justine take the fall for him.
No moral compass.
No more compass.
Yeah, for all you listeners out there, I was using sarcasm.
I think it was just me who didn't catch it.
I
was
just like
funny.
that my reaction was to dig it deeper.
Yeah.
The split screen of you and Rachel just being like,
Mhm.
smirking at me like she knew, and then you being like, are you serious? It was funny.
Sometimes I'm like, I'm not that sarcastic, like, and then sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, my father's daughter, 100%, you know?
Mhm. That's funny.
Sometimes I'm too sarcastic with people I don't know well enough, and then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
gotta turn it down a little bit.
Or it's
Dial
like when I
myself in.
use like dry grandpa's humor, you know, and then I'm like, oh, people aren't gonna get this.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta wheel that back in.
Our grandfather has the most soft-spoken voice and such a dry humor, but it's so funny.
Sometimes I don't even know he's joking until he gets the little.
I have
He
a
has like
grandma
a little
like
giggle.
that, yeah. That's cute.
So Justine.
Justine.
Sherry's first non-binary character.
Yeah,
Did I already
love
sing
that.
Justine's name like Jolene?
Mm-mm.
Okay, that's
Not
how
yet.
I hear her head. Or her head.
Justine.
That's how
Justine.
I'm begging you, please don't kill my brother.
Wait, we haven't talked about, do y'all think Justine did it? Because it hasn't been proved otherwise. Do you believe it was the monster?
I don't think it was. I don't know. I like having a hard time believing it was a monster. I just feel like there's no evidence either way.
Did we
Like,
get clarification on that?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
We find out who kills William.
I gotta make sure I don't say it.
Yeah, no, we find
Okay.
out who kills William.
Okay.
But I just want to know what you guys think, like who it could be.
Okay.
I don't know. Like, I just have a hard time defaulting to like, oh my god, it's the one bad guy. Like, you know, I created a
Monster.
hellspawn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But who is the bad guy, really?
Yeah, who really is the bad guy in this?
literally. Is it Viktor that gave life and abandoned? Probably.
What a
We
man,
love an absentee
honestly.
father. you
Yeah.
know?
He really fulfilled his role right there.
Mhm.
Oh man. Yeah, is it the monster who like we know nothing about? Is it Justine who we know nothing about? That's the problem. It's like we really don't know a whole lot about most of these characters.
Is it Elizabeth?
I mean, could this baby that was running around unsupervised have like accidentally like
Strangled himself?
hung himself on this necklace? Yes.
I think they said they
Ooh.
saw the fingerprints around his neck.
Oh, okay.
I think they're like he's for sure strangled.
Just like
But I like that idea. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to squash that right off the bat.
I just feel like there's so much possibility that I just have a hard time fully committing to the bit and being like, oh yeah, it's the Hellspawn. I feel like it's too much to assume right now. You know what I mean? Like, I have no evidence at all except the weird servant who busted in on Justine and just so happened to go through all of her shit and find this pendant necklace. So I'm like, I'm a little not trusting of the servant who's potentially framing Justine.
Poor Justine.
Poor Justine. Justice for Justine. Honestly, when I first read this book, I was so rooting for her. I really and truly thought justice was going to come. Not saying it didn't, but those were just my emotions. Yeah, those were just my emotions building into this part of the book. I'm like, oh my god, something crazy is going to happen and Justine's going to be freed. Like, that's what I was hoping for.
This other servant was like, yeah, she was like hella suspicious that night. And she didn't come home, and she cannot offer an alibi for any reason. I'm like, girl, you're literally being tried for murder. Like, find something. What the fuck? Like,
she says she was out looking for the child, and I'm like, wasn't everybody? Like, why is she now suspicious because she was the one looking for the kid?
Yeah, Justine, baby, get your paperwork together, you know?
Literally. Like, and then apparently she doesn't have a single friend or anybody to, like, stand by her and talk about her character. I'm like, girl, what?
I thought she did. I thought they said...
No, they said everybody backed down in this one, that she had people and then they were too scared to actually come forward and talk about her.
Why see, mine says a different thing. Mine says several witnesses were called who had known her for many years, and they spoke well of her, but fear and hatred of the crime of which they supposed her guilty rendered them timorous and unwilling to come forward. So you're right, people were saying nice things about her and then they wouldn't come forward. And then Elizabeth steps in, and Elizabeth speaks for her and is like, if she really wanted the locket that bad, I would have given it to her. She had no reason to kill William. Like, she loved him like a son.
Yeah. And it made it so much worse because everyone's like,
it's so much
my
worse.
God! Like, they would have done anything for her, and now she's just like, she did this anyways. Like, so now everyone's like got pitchforks, basically. Everyone, by the end of like Elizabeth's speech, condemns Justine.
And
she's
then done for.
At the end of it, the judge is like, oh, apparently Justine confessed. So it's like the entire thing was like a sham anyways. And I was like, girl, what? Like,
doesn't she do that for like religious purposes?
Wait, yeah, Justine confesses because she wanted absolution. She got coerced into a confession because the guy was like, you're gonna rot in hell forever in hellfire if you don't confess. And she was like, I don't want to burn forever. Like, I'll confess if it means I, am free. And then they were like, nope, gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
You guys might think this is funny. Becca, I don't know if you were raised Roman Catholic like me.
Absolutely not, girl. I was Southern Baptist.
Oh my God.
Southern Baptist.
Whenever we went to, like, once a month, we had to go to confession at, like, our Sunday schools. And they, like, always told me, they're like, you have to confess your sins. Like, you better, like, dig deep and start confessing. And, like, I didn't really do much. I was pretty sheltered. I didn't really go anywhere. So I, like, made...
Did you make stuff up?
I made shit up.
Confession?
Because they would get really mad. I was like, I don't have anything to confess. And they're like, surely you had like impure thoughts. Like, you.
That's crazy that they were like, no, you're bad. You have to have done something bad. That's fucked up.
Your experience
so
was
I just
different
like started
lying.
I just bold-faced lied to a priest. Because I was like,
so that you have something to be honest.
Then next time you could say you lied.
Yeah, just like I lied.
It was
last time. Yeah,
it was just like a
cycle. Every other one.
My Catholic upbringing was a different experience.
Dude, I'd sit down and they'd be like, "Do you want to be like face to face?" And I'm like, "No." So I'd sit like on the other side of the screen, and they're like the first one was really awkward because it was like I didn't have anything to say. And we were in there for like a good few minutes, and he's like, you gotta dig deep, like really think back of like everything you've gone through, like in the last month, like surely you've like fought with your siblings, you fought your parents, and like at this point I was not fighting anybody. I had homework, you know? I was like in 5th grade. What the
Yeah.
like I wasn't doing anything. Like I
Pure,
read my little
innocent,
books.
sweet baby Rachel.
Yeah, like I had nothing going on. Like I didn't fight with my siblings. You know, my youngest sibling was like 3. So what was I gonna do?
Man, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
so I just bold-faced lied
So
every
you
time.
get why Justine was like coerced into it.
Yeah, me and Justine, birds of a feather, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks that I can't, I didn't underline it where she said they like fully lied to her to get her to confess, but it's like such a bummer, you know?
Thinking back on it now, like I definitely told a priest I like got in a physical altercation with one of my siblings because, like, you know, when you're already lying, like you kind of get like a little extreme about it. So
Take it as far as you can.
I'm honest to a fault. This was not my experience, but that's funny.
Yeah, like the first time I went, I got like 10 Hail Marys for like not remembering what I did wrong. So
What?
I was like, okay,
You got in trouble
yeah.
for not remembering?
Yeah.
That's wild. That's wild.
So then I just started lying because I was like, if I already have to like do this. So there you go. That's my Catholic upbringing right there.
My Catholic
Crazy.
experience has been positive, but I hate that yours was negative.
Elizabeth, heartbroken. She's like, I don't know how I'll ever trust again. Oh, and this is when they were like at home because Viktor like sprinted out of there. He couldn't handle it anymore. So then he goes in the next day to find out what happened. So now he's like relaying it all to Elizabeth.
Literally everything he makes about himself.
Everything is about himself.
Yeah.
He even says, like, I might proclaim myself as a madman, but it wouldn't take back the sentence that was passed on Justine. So he's like, it's still about me, but, like, I couldn't really do anything to make this situation better. I'm like, oh, you suck.
He's like, I tried so hard. I, like, thought about it more than once, you know?
It's really killing me, guys. It's really tearing me up inside. Like, that's what I feel like Viktor is. It's like, oh, I really feel for you. But he's not actually going to do anything.
I want to see a version of Frankenstein where the guy who plays Schmidt is Viktor.
That would be good. That would be really good.
Oscar Isaac as the monster.
She confesses and is condemned to death. So, no justice for poor Justine. Heartbreaking. I did highlight at the very end of Volume 1, the very last sentence in my version, he's talking about how his soul was torn by remorse and horror and despair. And he goes, he's hanging out at the graves of William Justine, and he calls them the first victims to my unhallowed arts. And I'm like, the first?
The first?
That feels like some foreshadowing right there. Like, how do you know it's going to continue? And also, you still don't know if the monster did it. You just know Justine was innocent and took the fall for it.
Literally.
So I say.
I mean, she could have killed him. We still don't know. There's literally zero evidence. Oh, before that chapter ends, though, Justine asked Elizabeth to visit one last time, and she's like, I have to bring you Viktor. And I'm like, do you? Okay. So then, Justine admits that she confessed so she could obtain absolution, even though it was a lie. And I'm like, oh, it's just like me going to a priest. Okay.
Yep.
And then Elizabeth wishes to die with Justine because she loves her so much. I'm like, ooh, lesbians.
Sister cousin lesbians. That's what that looks like. That's crazy.
Human
the Venn
trafficking,
diagram of relationships
girlfriend.
is just a circle.
Yeah, I mean, they're both victims. They would probably help each other quite a bit.
Trauma bond a bit.
I wish we knew how old Justine was, though. Like, I'm picturing Justine as, like, a teenager and Elizabeth in, like, her early to mid-20s. Viktor, I think, is 28.
I was picturing Viktor as, like, 24.
Mm-hmm.
Justine as, like, 22. Sorry.
Oh.
Elizabeth is 22. Justine is, like, 18.
Yeah. I'm right there, too.
Justine's
definitely young.
like an 18-year-old, 17-year-old.
And she's just done for. Put to death.
I like that I've now decided that everybody in this entire book is gay.
Yeah.
I will not allow friendship.
Nobody in this book is allowed to be straight.
The way that they
Listen,
speak of their friendships, though, are
that's
very
what I'm
intense.
saying.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
Very intense.
Like, I love my friends, but I don't like sit there and be like, oh god, the look in her eyes and the flowing of her hair and just, you know, like no, I don't. Maybe I'm just like not. Maybe I'm a shit friend, you know.
No. I think I even said to Allison earlier this week because we were talking about it, and I'm like, I think when we're done with it and we look more into Mary Shelley's life, it would be cool to talk about the gay part of this book. But I wonder how much of this is like the time period that it happened, and she couldn't openly write gay relationships, and so
Yeah.
she's just writing as much as she can between their relationships without like outwardly saying they're in love with each other. Because I'm like, Viktor and Henry are in love with each other, without a doubt. Like, and I'm just waiting for him to pop back up because I'm like, what's Viktor gonna do without Henri? Like, he needs him.
Henri,
The only thing I know about Mary Shelley is that rumor that she lost her virginity on her mom's grave, and that's it.
I'm excited to look more into that. I think I'm gonna be very intrigued by everything.
Listen, I literally tried to like fact check it, and pretty much everybody's like, yeah, probably. Like, like nobody can say that it's 100% a lie or that it's 100% a truth, but it's just like wild enough that it's probably true.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I'm excited to look more into her and just like the time period itself, and then we can look back at these characters and like through that view of the time period. But yeah, there's some interesting relationship dynamics in here.
Oh yeah. So then we are on to Volume 2, Chapter 1.
Woo!
Woo, we did it!
So he's torturing himself with guilt because he's that, I don't fucking know. He's that guy, I guess. And apparently he's fallen into a depression, and his dad's like, oh, you gotta feel better, buddy. Like,
okay, like sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Even if he wasn't like thinking that his creation killed his brother, like his brother is still dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. In my version, his dad pretty much just tells him to like buck up. He's like, you seem really sad. What was it he said? Your excessive sorrow is preventing you from being useful daily, is what he said. He was like, you're so depressed, you're kind of in the way. And I'm like, that's intense. That's like,
yeah.
And they're also all like, we hung out with William every day. You haven't lived here in a while. Why are you so upset? Like, they just couldn't quite understand why Viktor was the one who was upset more than anybody. But we all know it's because Viktor sucks and makes everything about himself.
Which, honestly, that's fair. Like, literally, he knew... I mean, granted, it is his brother, but, like, he only knew his brother until he was, like, 2. And then...
Yeah.
So, it is, like, unreasonable, his level of sadness.
But I think it's not unreasonable because he's not actually sad that his brother's dead. He's sad that he thinks the monster killed his brother and subsequently killed Justine.
He feels sorry for himself more than
he feels sorry for himself. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, he doesn't really... I mean, I think he cares that they're dead, but that's not the number one reason he's so distraught.
Right.
Imagine just, like, that being your life, honestly.
What, creating a monster and then just being like, I'm just gonna pretend that never happened.
And then watching it pick off your family one by one. Oh, man. Yeah.
Like, all of this would have been fixed if he just decided to, you know, raise his monster. Like, talk to him for a second. Anything, you know?
Just given it any sort of care after he brought it to life.
Yeah. Like, would have made a world of difference. He's like, all right. Oh, and then the dad also is like, oh, your brother wouldn't want you to be sad, which I always think is, like, the biggest bunch of bullshit whenever someone says
like,
that.
Like, what a terrible thing to say.
You're like, oh.
You're being disrespectful to the dead person by feeling your emotions right now. What? What?
It's also like, yeah, fuck me, I guess. Like, what am I supposed to say, you know?
Yeah, I feel like they're just fed up with Viktor's depression and just him being, like, in his head and woe is me all the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
which is fair.
So.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. But then they all go to Belle Reeve, so it's like they all just go to a different house together. And I'm like, I
love the whole feeling of being like, you know what, we're really sad. Let's go on vacation.
Yeah, let's go to our lake house. Like, what?
Every time we record for this, before I read Rachel's notes, and a lot of what you said in this part was really funny.
I didn't get a chance to read your notes. I want to know what all you said.
It's always like, seems suspicious. On vacay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little weird to be on vacay this quick.
Yeah.
Feeling sorry for himself on vacay. Get over it. It's like stuff like
Well,
that.
yeah. And then he's like super depressed on vacation, so he's like, I'm gonna make a pilgrimage and I'm gonna climb the highest mountain in the Andes.
Wait,
Like,
before that.
oh, yeah.
Before that. He, in the middle of the night, when they get to this house, he's like, I'm gonna go out on a boat. Like,
Yeah, like what?
why?
And then he's talking about he wants to just like sink into the lake and just like
Yeah.
be done. And I'm like, you're suicidal. This is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, he should have just
But-
confessed.
He literally says, I would kill myself if it meant that my family didn't have to be alone with my creation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's a whole world out there, buddy. Like, chill the fuck out. You know what I mean?
He hasn't done a single thing to remedy it.
No,
And
no,
he's just
no
like,
mitigation techniques.
if I could just evaporate.
Oop, I regret. Maybe if I regret it enough, it'll just cease to be true. Like what?
Yeah, it's wild.
I hate
avoiding
him.
cleaning.
Being used.
I hate him.
Yeah.
But when he talked about making that pilgrimage to the highest mountain, in the side of the paragraph I wrote, weak little Victor is going to climb this mountain? Like, what? Because I don't picture him as like a strong...
That's in the next chapter.
Oh, is it?
For me, yeah.
Oh, mine's on chapter 1 of part 2.
Yeah, mine's in the next chapters when he goes on his white hike.
Oh, he hasn't gone on it yet. He's just decided he's going to.
Yeah. Because this is the moment in which, after his little boat ride moment, he decides that he's going to find his creation so he can kill it.
Does this not
Like,
give
oh.
Bella New Moon vibes of like trying to do dangerous
It does.
stuff?
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Sorry, I'm checking mine because I think ours differ pretty bigly. Pretty bigly here? Differ
Bigly.
greatly here. Okay, so what else happens in your chapter 1?
So then Elizabeth can't voice her own pain without comforting Victor afterwards, which is so awful. I'm like, bro, what the hell, dude? Honestly. Now, oh, sorry. The boat ride was pre-vacay, and then it was at their actual house, and then when then they decide to go on vacay because it's been 2 months, and they're all still sad, so they gotta go on vacation. And now we're on to chapter 2.
Chapter 2, okay. See, mine, before you even get out of chapter 1, he's already on his hike. He's already in the Andes.
That's weird.
Or the Alps.
Yeah. Might be playing catch up, so that we're... Oh no, well I guess, because you ended up on a different chapter.
Yeah, now I'm trying to figure out. Let me look and see what the last thing I read was. Where did I stop? We get to, in chapter 3 is the monster's POV. And then he's talking about everything that's happened to him. And he ends with...
Chapter 3 in mine is he ends looking at, like, in a family's house.
Yes, and he's watching them through the hole in the wall. Yeah, okay, so ours ends the same. But I think my chapter 1 and 2 are kind of blended. Because at the end of my chapter 1, he's already in the Alps. And it's just a lot of, like, imagery. And it's really beautifully written. Like, she does a great job talking about the mountains. But really just broke down what, like, a literal healing journey he's on.
An eat, pray, love moment, if you will.
Yeah, he is having an eat, pray, love moment.
Yeah, we're on chapter 2 now. Frankenstein's on vacay, living it up, having a great time. But unfortunately, it did rain, so you know what that means. You gotta go in depression.
It was giving
Me too. Me too.
It was giving Joey and Friends when he moves out of Chandler's apartment.
Yeah, leaning his head against the window, watching the rain trickle down.
on his rain sculpture.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
So instead of like being sad around his family, he decides to avoid them and go on a very long walk/hike. And then he makes this whole like long statement about he's specifically walking through an area prone for avalanches. And I'm like, oh, what a great idea, buddy. Like, what the fuck are you doing right now? Why?
He would do anything to
Literally
see Edward
why?
again.
Yeah.
That was great.
I think every
Like
episode of
diving.
Frankenstein I have somehow talked about
Yeah.
Japan, which I don't know where this is coming from.
I love it.
Same energy.
I love it. Okay, wait, so is this hike he's going on, is this his big trek? Because in my version, he hires, like, a mule and decides not to hire a guide, and he's like, I've got this map and this huge summit that I'm gonna... Like, it's a kind of a big deal of mine. It's not like he just goes on a hike.
No. I
Oh,
don't think so.
My version, he's
I don't
like, I'm
remember.
just gonna go for a walk.
Yeah.
no,
I'm
he's
sad,
like...
so I'm gonna go for a
He's
walk.
he's talking about the first time he ever saw the peak, and it gave him such a sublime ecstasy and gave wings to the soul and allowed it to soar from the obscure world to light and joy. And so I determined to go without a guide, for I was well acquainted with the path, and the presence of another would destroy the solitary grandeur of the scene.
Damn.
So he's like out there.
He's
Yeah,
L-I-V-I
yours is like
and
much
living.
more poetic.
Mine's
than
very
ours is.
drama. Mine has a poem in it, actually. On the next page, he has a poem. Did y'all have a poem in yours, too?
I don't know about that.
I'll check mine.
It's 2, 4, 6. It's only 4 stanzas.
I don't remember.
Sure. I'll read it to you. I'll read you some poetry.
Oh yeah, read me poetry.
Let's see here. Okay, wait, what is happening?
Oh, I do have a poem.
The we rest, a dream has power to poison sleep. We rise, one wandering thought pollutes the day. Is that the one you have?
Yeah.
I like it. I like how he's just like, there are really good things, but there are all these bad things that ruin them. Like, there is no hope. He's so depressed.
Very emo teen, you know?
Yeah, very emo teen. And then, yeah, he's hiking in the glacier.
Yeah. So he gets to the top of the mountain and somehow sees his creation fully running towards him. And my note here
Superhuman
says,
speed.
yeah, my note here says, bro, what tracking device does this thing have?
He's on Find Friends.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's
mine
zooming
literally
into Al's
says...
Yeah,
Aw.
yeah. He's doing the thing like on the Boba Fett Apple commercial, you know, where they're like trying to find their friend,
Cute.
but no flash mob at the end of that.
I wish I knew what commercial you're talking about.
Oh my gosh,
I
you
know,
have to
me
watch
too.
it. It's actually kind of funny.
I have no idea.
It's like
but
a guy that's all dressed in the Boba Fett stuff, and he's like ready for Comic-Con kind of thing. And he's going to meet up with his friends, but everybody's dressed like Boba Fett, so he can't find them. So he's like using this thing, and it's like turn this
That's
way,
so
this
funny.
way, like, and then it's like you're here, and then they all like dance together.
That's cute.
Oh, it's cute.
That's cute. I love that when Victor sees the monster running towards him. In my version, he goes, I trembled with rage and horror, and then I was going to wait for his approach and then close him in mortal combat. Victor's like, I'm going to fist fight this monster. What? Victor? I don't believe it.
I just love that, like, basically he built this monster to be, like, WWE, like, built, shredded. And then there's, like, scrawny book nerd Victor.
Yeah!
He's like, oh, yeah, this is my fucking time. I've watched 17 episodes of Mortal Kombat. I'm ready to...
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And then it's like, the monster gets there, and Victor just, like, lays into him and just starts yelling at him, and he's like, be gone, vile insect, like, fuck you, like, hates him. And the monster just goes, I expected this reception. Like, what? Like, yeah, people curse me out every time they see me, yeah.
My favorite note is the fact, too, that, like, he doesn't even wait until they're, like, face-to-face. It's like, Victor realizes he's within earshot, and he's like, hey, yo, fuck you.
It's like that meme, what's your name? Brandon. Fuck you, Brandon. Yeah. It's really cute. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that the monster.
Okay, so what did you think? What did you think about the monster speaking perfect English?
So funny.
Yeah,
it's a little unexpected. I feel like I expected it to not start that way.
Yeah. And I think I've said this in like our first episode. In the audiobook version, the monster does have an American accent,
Oh
which
my
is
god.
crazy. It's just like out of nowhere, you all of a sudden have an American voice actor. And I'm like, what? How? How would
He's less civilized.
he less civilized?
I just
Oh,
like
I love it.
in my version he's like Shakespearean, you
He
know?
is. And then he has all of these references later, like we can get into them more, but like he makes religious references, he makes
Yeah.
novel references, and I'm like, oh, you're cultured. You've gone to school. Like, how do you know all of this stuff? Like,
I
it's
just
kind of
he's
crazy.
like, oh yeah, well I've been chasing you around the countryside. I did also go to Harvard. I have a law degree. I'm also I'm a forensic
Elle Woods.
scientist, you know? Like,
Yeah. Like what? Like it's hard? Like
yeah, literally.
This whole part, like as you get to know the monster, it just gives me Ultron vibes of like trying to learn about humanity.
Yeah. Yeah. I am excited. The next chapter we get it all from his point of view, so you learn where he picked up all these things, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of shocking the moment he starts talking, and you're like, "Oh, you're eloquent. You know what you're talking
Yeah.
about."
Then the creation though, just to like really just make it worse. He's like, hey, Victor, listen, if you don't meet my demands, I'll kill everyone you love
Yeah,
slowly.
that's yeah.
He starts
Which is
out
like
like pretty civilized, and then he just, but I'll kill everybody you love. So
honestly, fair. You know what? I'm okay with it. I'm cool with it. I'm chill with it because at this point, like, what else is he gonna do?
he
You
has
know?
massive daddy issues.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. But I will say he does give Victor so many chances. Like I circled every time the monster's talking to Victor about like, first of all, don't fight me, because like he runs up on Victor and Victor's like, I'm gonna beat you up, like I'm gonna get you, and the monster's like, wait, before you kill me, do you want to hear me out? And Victor's like, no, I don't want to hear you out. I don't care what you have to say. You're evil. Like I have to kill you. And the monster's like, you accuse me of murder, but you're gonna kill your own creation without even hearing me out. Like you don't know the truth. You don't know what's going on. And I circled it, and the monster asks Victor to listen to him. Like he uses the word like listen to me, hear me out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 times.
Damn.
9 times he was like, please just hear me out. And I'm like, oh, that kind of won me over to the monster, because I'm like, he's trying to be rational.
In mine, he throws a punch at the monster, and like the monster basically just like catches it.
Really?
Like,
that does not happen in
Oh,
mine.
I don't remember if that happens in mine. I gotta look.
That's crazy.
My chapters are also different, so it's a little hard sometimes.
Oh wait, no, mine does say, my rage was without bounds. I sprang on him, impelled by all the feelings. The next line, he easily eluded me, and I go, LOL.
yeah.
I love that. I sprang on
And then I have a note that says his creation's like, yo, I don't want to hurt you. You're my dad, but also life sucks because you made me 9 feet tall.
Yeah. He's like, everybody hates me. Everybody's scared when they see me. All I know is misery, and it's your fault for making me like this. And I'm like, that's a
Literally.
good point. That's a valid point.
And then he's like, can we literally just talk? And Victor's like, no, fuck you. And he's like, dude, I've been literally living in caves this entire time because of you.
He's like, dude, just hear me out. Like, my shit's not going well. Like, you could help
Yeah.
me, and I promise I'll be good if you just help me. Like, it's that simple.
Like, have you ever seen like millionaires that like have secret kids that that you find out they're like living in squalor and like
Yeah.
they pick up bags on bags and like will not acknowledge his like child?
Drake.
Literally.
Just a name drop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the case for his son?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone came out with a diss track against him, and then he acknowledged his son. So everybody thought with Kendrick Lamar they were gonna find another kid.
They did. They did. He has a daughter that they found.
No.
Oh, it's not his daughter?
No. Apparently that entire thing was plotted by Drake to try and make make Kendrick look stupid.
What?
Yeah, did you not hear that other diss track that followed up with that?
No, because that one was like so good. It was kind of the end of it for everybody, I thought.
That's fair. Yeah, no. Apparently that was completely fake and just like put out there by Drake's team. However, I would not be surprised to find out it is actually true.
Yeah.
So
He just like kind of soft launched it to see if people believe it and how they would react, and then he'll just
yeah,
decide from there if he wants it to be true.
literally.
Yikes.
All the jokes though, where they're like,
Yeah, no, the monster definitely has huge daddy issues. And
yeah.
Viktor does not see him. It's like Viktor has all this guilt about bringing the monster into the world, but he's not taking any of the responsibility of bringing him in. Like, he didn't raise him, he didn't train him, he didn't educate him. What did he expect?
All
I
he
just don't
does,
get it.
all he does is address him like a homeschool jungle freak who's a less hot version than me.
That's spot on.
I think my last
How many
6
quotes
comments
can we put
have
in
been
this episode?
movie
Yeah.
comments. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good. They're really helping.
I also read.
Start getting really niche with your book references.
All my comments have been pretty niche today.
It's fine. I love it. So the funniest thing to me is like after trying to like physically fight his creation, which he built like a fucking god, he's like, well, what else am I to do except follow him to his cave? And I'm like, bro, you fully think he's a murderer? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like the monster's finally like, listen to me, come back to my cave and I'll tell you everything. And Victor's like, I kind of hate you, but I guess I'll go and I'll hear you out. Like, what? What is this flip? Like, I just don't, the severity goes down so much. And I'm like, Victor, you're such a drama queen. Like,
The
1
creation's
minute.
like,
Yeah, go ahead.
the creation's like, hey little boy, I got candy in my trunk.
Yeah. Like 1 minute Victor's all big and tough and I'm like, I'm gonna take down this giant monster. And then the next Victor's like, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to hear him out, guys. Like, we don't have to resort to violence. Like,
It's such a funny visual to see him go back and forth with his drama.
mm-hmm.
My other favorite thing is basically like we also know that he 100% like expands the truth, you know, like he like really stretches it, and like having him as a narrator, I just imagine that he's like, yeah, and then I threw a punch, and like realistically, let's think of him. Let's be so for real. Like, do we think he actually threw a punch? Probably not. He probably just sat there and like shook on the spot.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I guess I'll go in your cave. Like,
Okay, but this is such
Yeah,
a valid point. Is Viktor a reliable narrator?
no.
I feel like he can't be. Just hearing his internal dialogue and hearing how wishy-washy and kind of crazy he is, how could you ever believe what he's telling this sailor? Because isn't all of this just his retelling to the sailor?
Yeah.
So it's like, how could you fully believe it? But you also don't have anybody else's POV just yet to like base that off of.
And then also, our monster's POV is going to be diluted through Victor.
Because it all gets through Victor. Yeah, so like the whole story is just tainted by Victor's madness.
Which does make this book better the more that you come back and look at it. Like this time around when I'm looking at our notes and things, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a lot more complex and layered than I remembered it being. Because you're just trying to get the plot the first time around.
Yeah. And then
Can't
when you
imagine
read
what
it,
that's like.
you read it again and you're like, oh, I now I get why people are behaving like this. Like, it makes so much more sense. But that's where my chapter 2 ends. It's like Victor going to follow him to the cave.
How are you feeling right now?
About who? Like, just in general?
In general, what are you thinking about the monster, Victor, where this is going? Who can you
The writing
trust?
in general.
The writing.
Yeah.
Okay. Full analysis and review. All right.
Yeah.
I really like the writing. I do like that Victor is a super unreliable narrator, because I think it would have been really boring if he used like, oh, and then I raised my creation son that's 9 feet tall, also possibly boyfriend. Like, literally, I don't know. It seemed like, do you remember that movie that was like in the 90s, I think, where this girl wanted a boyfriend, so it was like grow your own boyfriend?
Oh my gosh, this is from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, where she bakes a boyfriend. Like
also that, yes.
Dough.
This
No?
is like a movie plot too.
But that's what her aunts do in the show. So
That's
I
cute.
can't remember if they make her a date too. I can't remember. Great show.
That's the energy I'm getting here, is that, like, he tried to, like, bake his own boyfriend because he was lonely and Henry was not involved. Like, Henry wasn't there, so he didn't have a boyfriend. So he's like, let me just make this, like, super hot guy.
I'll just pop him
And
in my
then-
easy bake oven in my dorm room.
Literally. And then he's like, oh my god, wait, this is, like, actually ethically, morally, and, like, societally wrong. Like, I
Yeah.
can't bring
fucked
something
up.
from the dead to life. Yeah. He's like, ah, shit. So, I feel like it's really interesting that the monster speaks, like, Shakespearean English. Like, I'm trying to
Mhm.
figure out where the hell that came from.
It's such a great turn of events because I feel like in modern retellings of Frankenstein, the monster is always just grunting and groaning. He's not articulate,
Yeah.
he's not smart, he's just a monster. And that's like all I knew of Frankenstein before I read this book, because I think I've seen a couple of the movies, but it's been so long I don't remember much.
Yeah.
And so reading this book, and when the monster started talking and he was smart, I was so floored because I'm like, what is this? This is brand new
Yeah.
information from a book that was published in the early 1800s, and it feels brand new. Like, that felt so fun because it's
Yeah.
just such a shocking difference of what we think of as the classic,
I'm not sure
Yeah.
there's a film adaptation that follows the book
where
at
he's
all.
intelligent.
Well,
yeah.
or that it even follows the book.
Yeah. Because stuff
just-
keeps getting crazier. That's the best part.
Oh, good. I'm just thinking, like, the only thing I know about Frankenstein, like, movie-wise, is that there's, like, the Bride of Frankenstein movie.
Okay, I can't say anything.
I want to watch it. I've never seen it, so.
Oh, I'm glad you haven't seen it, because never mind. No, we'll get there. I can't
Yeah,
say
we'll get
anything
there.
without spoiling
Have you
it.
seen
Okay.
Frankenweenie?
I have seen Frankenweenie. Of course I have.
Because she's
That's
in that.
great. Yeah, she's everywhere. Yeah. No, I just loved how much different this book was than what I thought the story was going to be, especially when it came to the monster. And I
Here's
think
my
I'm
theory.
rooting for the monster more than anybody.
Yes. Here's my theory about why he speaks the Shakespearean accent, okay?
Okay.
I think the brain he pulled out of whatever hellhole he found it in is, like, a Shakespearean, like, guy, like, that era.
That is a great theory.
Ooh,
I think that's
like
such a
that
good theory.
theory.
I had not even considered that his body parts would affect his personality based off of who the body parts came from. Did not even consider that.
Yeah, I like
That-
I like it. I like it a lot.
I can't even take credit for that, because that theory comes from, there was, like, I can't remember if it was a movie or a TV show or if it happened in the Addams Family, but a hand that they, like, attached to a body, like, the guy got his, like, hand. No, it's not Addams Family. I don't remember where this came
You're
from.
just thinking of thing.
Yeah, no, this is like, oh, he got, like, his hand amputated, so then he needed, like, get his hand surgically reattached to his body, and then it was, like, a serial killer's hand, so it tries to, like, kill him.
Are you talking about Wormtail from Lord of the or not Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, where Voldemort gives him the metal hand and it chokes him? Doesn't that happen in the book?
That does happen.
Yeah.
Cute.
Sorry, I said Lord of the Rings because I just finished 98 hours of the making of behind the
Damn.
scenes The Hobbit of all the movies. That's the only thing I've been watching, and I just finished 98 hours of it yesterday. So I'm in, like, full Lord of the Rings Hobbit world because I'm reading the book right now too.
You had your Lord of the Rings moment. I had Manacled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that happens
I
with
had
Wormtail.
Twilight references too.
Yeah. Well, that's all we have today. And we will catch you all in 2 weeks with more Frankenstein, more monsters, and who is the monster? Is it Frankenstein? Is it his creation? It's probably Frankenstein because that dude's a dick. But either way, we'll catch you all in 2 weeks. Bye, everybody.
Bye.